There are loads of smaller games on the Switch, a lot of which would fall under the shovelware brand. Little not even completed games, and shooters that are almost just little technical demo, can I make a game on my own sort of things. Hentai vs. Evil comes to mind, as does Blood Waves. That kind of game is what we're going to go into today. Something I didn't expect to be as good from the moment I hit purchase on the eShop as it was. Let's dive in. Here is my review of Anime Girls High School of Dead for the Nintendo Switch. And yes, that is the actual title of the game. There is no story here, so when it comes to gameplay, this is a wave-based third-person shooter having you playing as an anime schoolgirl fighting off waves of zombies that invade her school. And that's pretty much it. When you play, you fight off enemies in waves until you decide to give up and die. More on that decision factor later. Let's start with the unfortunate confusion. This game is currently only released on Nintendo Switch with a PC release planned for February 24, though considering we're almost through February, it'll likely be delayed until later. The weird thing is, the Steam page mentions split-screen co-op. As of right now, the Switch version doesn't have co-op, or the boss fights that it talks about. Maybe we'll get that content when the PC version finally releases. Thankfully, these developers were smart by not just copy-pasting the Steam description onto the Switch eShop. There's no mention of co-op there, making this description accurate to what you're actually getting. A bit of a surprise considering the false info a lot of other small indie games show on Nintendo's shop. Now let's talk about the game. To start, you choose a character of generic-looking anime girls that have different stats for health and speed. Only one is unlocked initially, and you must clear 10 waves within the game with each character to unlock each subsequent character. When you're in the game, you're in a 2-building school with waves of zombies attacking you. You start with a pistol that has infinite ammunition, but as waves clear, boxes will spawn all over the map, offering you health packs, random types of ammo, whether you have the weapons that use it or not, and weapons you can swap for. There are a lot of different weapons, from submachine guns and assault rifles to shotguns and a grenade launcher. What weapon spawns in each box is random each time you play, so you might get a shotgun right away, or you may have to play several waves before you get one. There are other things littered around as well, like exploding barrels if you wish to blow zombies up in a huge fireball. The idea here is to take on waves of zombies pretty much endlessly. You're given an enemy number on screen, and when it hits 0, you get a short delay before the next wave comes in, and you repeat. As the waves go further, you get larger numbers to deal with, but also new enemy types will slowly trickle in. You start with the classic normal walking zombies, and then you get running females, more beefy zombies with hatchets and cleavers, and it keeps going to give you more varied waves to deal with. How you fight the zombies actually isn't half bad. The gunplay feels good, there's a nice recoil enemies undergo when you shoot them, and the different weapons do feel a bit different in terms of damage and whatnot. There are some faults I will mention in a moment, but for such a small game, the shooting isn't bad at all. The faults I mentioned are really on expectations. There are many scoped weapons you can acquire in the game, including a few type of sniper rifles. The issue is there's no scope mechanic in the game. When you aim with a sniper rifle, you just aim it normally. Kind of like how the Reaper sniper works in Fortnite when you have one that has no scope, essentially functioning as a hunting rifle. It just begs the question on why you have snipers with scopes in this game when you can't actually use the scopes. There are some other flaws with the system as well. Collision is a problem. When you hide inside the school, zombies just don't know how to navigate. They'll often get stuck at the staircase in large chunks, having you go down to leave, and a huge mob is there that literally can't get to you no matter how hard they try. The stairs also cause problems for the player, as I found when on the landing of the stairs, most of my shots wouldn't hit anything at all, even if I was pointed straight at a zombie. Weapons are also more or less just numbers. Shotguns are stronger than rifles or stronger than pistols. Even the grenade launcher doesn't really act like one. Animation-wise, it looks right, but there really isn't a splash zone effect with it. I've launched grenades directly next to explosive barrels and the game doesn't even recognize the barrels there. You have to actually shoot the barrel point blank to make it explode, whether you're using a pistol or rockets next to them. Another thing I am not sure I would call a flaw, as it is extremely exploitable, and that's the fact that the shotguns are immensely overpowered in this game. Each ammo drop for shotguns gives you 40 or more shells, and most enemies will go down in 1 to 2 shots outside of the tanky mid-bosses. You could theoretically just find a handful of shotgun drops in ammo boxes, and have enough ammo to just stay in the school entrance and last 10 or more waves without ever having to look to refill ammo. And considering you can run much faster than all of this game's enemies, you could literally just keep going forever. It's very easy to just keep the waves going, and the game ending is more on you deciding to quit than you actually being in a lot of danger. As long as you keep moving, you really don't have much to worry about. Now, looking at this whole thing, it's a fun little zombie shooter. Despite the weirdness with collision and sniper rifles, I had fun while playing it. The gunplay feeling good certainly adds to that. It's not really a complete game yet, and has no variety in maps at all, but for what it is, it's kind of fun. Though content and length is really up to you. I would not personally play this game for long sessions, considering the repetition of not only the single environment, but short looping background music. But to put a number to it, it should take you maybe 20 or 30 minutes to unlock each character, so I'd say you could unlock the whole roster after playing for around 3 hours. Next is presentation, which I think looks fine. There are jaggies around the character models, especially with hair, but I think the game looks fine. There are textures and whatnot on the environments that don't look great, but the enemy models all look pretty decent. Performance is mostly good, but not perfect. The frame rate jumps around a lot, but typically stays between 30 and 60 FPS. The drops the game has triggers mostly within the school building itself when grabbing a new weapon and turning around, but if you're fighting outside, it's mostly stable. That brings us to battery life. Anime Girls High School of Dead gives the original and light models a battery range of 2.5 to 3 hours, while the V2 and OLED models get 5 to 6 hours. In conclusion, this Anime Girl zombie shooter comes to the Switch first with a very basic and technically incomplete experience that's surprisingly nice for what it is. Now, on the downside, there's no VAP variety. There are a lot of little issues with the game's collision and how the weapons and barrels work, and the frame rate does jump down below 30 a fair bit. This is in no way what I would call a good game, but for what it is, a very small indie title centered around shooting zombies in an anime high school setting, it's pretty competent. Reviews to go rates Anime Girls High School of Dead for the Nintendo Switch a 6 out of 10. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them below. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.